Hey everybody, welcome back to Adventures with Dice. I am Rob and I am going to be talking to you today about my top 6 or my 6 finalist books, must-have books from my collection, that if I could only keep 5 books and everything else had to go, or 6 books, what would they be? I've seen a lot of these videos popping up lately, people talking about their top 5, their top 6, their top 10. I felt like 10 was too easy because it gave me too much room to throw supplement books in, and 5 was just a little too hard. So I'm doing my 6 must-have books. And I've heard people say, well, if I was on a deserted island, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can think of a lot of things I'd like to have on an island rather than role-playing books. But if it was a deserted island, you wouldn't have anybody to play with anyway. So I don't know. The whole island thing doesn't make any sense to me. But if I was clearing out everything, okay, if I was going to get rid of everything and just say, okay, well, I'm just going to keep 6 books. That's it. What 6 would make the cut? Well, I've got them right here, and I'm going to tell you which ones. Now, I'm not saying these are the 6 for you. These are the 6 for me. This is my choice. And I encourage anybody, especially my fellow YouTubers out there that watch these videos, like DM James, Roleplay Right, whatever his name of his channel is this week. Do a video response. Let's hear your top 6 role-playing books that you would keep if you had to get rid of everything else. What 6 books would you keep? Evil DM, Vince, any of you other guys that want to do it, OGGM, if you watch this video and want to do it, throw a video up there so I can see what your top 6, if you couldn't keep anything else, what 6 books would make your list. So, mine are not really in any particular order until we get to number 1. Number 1 is a must-have. 1000% must-have in my opinion. But I'm going to do it last. Everything else could be in any order because it kind of shuffles back and forth in my usage. So the first one on my list is Rifts. The original Rifts. You can keep that Ultimate Edition stuff. I'm not a fan of the Ultimate Edition. The original Rifts. Now this is the anniversary hardback edition. But this is the one that I played first and played the most. It's the one I spent the most time going through. I absolutely love this book. And I like most of the mechanics here a lot better than the stuff that was added into the Ultimate Edition. I don't hate the Ultimate Edition. It's just between the two of them. This is the one that I like the best. So, Rifts, as much as I'm a Rifts guy, even though I do like the Savage Worlds Rift stuff, I have a ton of Rifts books and Palladium Fantasy. And this just had to make the list. I had to have at least the core book. Now, as far as playing Rifts, my favorite setting for playing Rifts is actually Chaos Earth, which is more Rifts but survival horror because it takes place at the beginning when the Rifts are first happening, which the Evil DM is doing a fantastic job of covering over on his channel, going through the book and page by page and showing everything about Chaos Earth. Absolutely phenomenal videos. Go check them out. They're not long and lengthy like mine. They're very digestible. But the reason this made it instead of Chaos Earth is because though I like Chaos Earth has supplement books that add stuff in. Because if you play it through the timeline, when you first start out, none of the player characters have psychic powers or magic powers or any of that. You're members of NEMA or survivors or whatever. And the supplement books add that in, and they have like this journal that you're reading through the supplement books as the humans are getting more exposed to the ley lines and the magic, and they start picking more and more of this up. While I think that is fantastic, it doesn't give you the complete game unless you get the supplement stuff, because you might want to play 100 years into Chaos Earth or 50 years into Chaos Earth. So in order to do that, you have to have the complete rules. And that is why I chose this book over Chaos Earth, because it gives you, the psychic abilities and magic and, all that stuff. So that's why this one made it above Chaos Earth, is because it does give you the complete game. Now, does that mean there's not fantastic supplements? No, there's great supplements for Rifts. But if I'm just sticking with one book, that's the one. I tried to not pull multiple books from one particular system, and that was really hard, especially with this next one, because there is a particular supplement for this game that I really, really love, almost as much as I do the main core book. And it spawned another idea where I think I'm going to do like a top 5 or top 6 or whatever of RPG supplement books. But this next one is DCC. And this is the pterodactyl cover, but it's the hardback. But I absolutely love DCC. We've been playing this every Tuesday night for a while now. DCC is a fantastic game, and it does not replace regular fantasy RPGs, in my opinion. I don't really hack a whole lot on DCC. I pretty much play it as is, because I don't know, I just feel like DCC is its own thing, and I don't need to add to or hack my own stuff into it, because it's just a beautiful system that works as is. And that's my experience with it. And I've run quite a bit of this already and really enjoyed it. The annual Volume 1, which they never did a Volume 2, but the annual Volume 1 that they put out is also a fantastic book that goes hand in hand with this, but only keeping 6 books, I had to just pull DCC. Just the core book. Plus, it has all the rules, everything you need to play the game, and a couple of adventures in here, so boom, there you go. Like, that's a no-brainer. It had to be in there. My next one is one that I've gone back and forth on several of the OSR style games or retro clone games, and that is Basic Fantasy. I love White Box, and I've played a lot of White Box. I played Basic Fantasy first. This was the game that got me introduced to the OSR and the retro clones. Now this is the hardback edition. And one of the beautiful things about this game is, like, the soft cover is like $5 or $6 on Amazon, and the hardback is like $12. You cannot beat the price, and it's a fantastic game. The reason that this beats out White Box, in my opinion, and I do love White Box, but I use stuff from White Box. I still use the turning tables and stuff from White Box as opposed to what's in here, because I like it better. But the problem with White Box gets to be, I end up tacking a bunch of stuff onto White Box to make it the game I want it to be. And a lot of this is already done in Basic Fantasy. It just feels a little more thought out, a little more complete. So I do love Basic Fantasy. And for my normal D&D style fantasy, this is my go-to that I want at the table. And I want it on my shelf. If I can only have 6 books, then this is the third one. Like, this one definitely is going to be in there. And yeah, I know that DCC is fantasy as well, but DCC is very gonzo, over the top, has a lot of unique stuff to it. And to me, the games have 2 totally different feels, but I love both of them. Now, this next one is not a game in of itself. It is a supplement for a game, actually. It's a supplement for Swords and Wizardry, but it's compatible with pretty much most of the OSR games out there, or the old school retro clones. I know right now, apparently, there are people up in arms about the term OSR. I really couldn't care less. So, it is what it is. I play what I like, and I don't really care what other people outside of that think. But, now this was a hefty one. I think this was $50 or $60, but it is Swords and Wizardry Monstrosities. And I've done a video on this. This is a big old book. It's big, it's just a little smaller, maybe, not by much, than the DCC book. But it has that old school monster manual feel to it, the way it's laid out, and I absolutely love this. I use this all the time. I used it with White Box. I used it with Basic Fantasy. I still use it with Basic Fantasy. But I also love to just pull this book down and just read just for fun, you know, different monsters and stuff in here. I dig that, and it gives me ideas for, you know, putting my own spin on certain monsters, like, you know, reskinning stuff or whatever. Just a fantastic book. Like, I love this book, and if I had no other monster book, this one monster book has to make the shelf, and that's going to be Monstrosities. It's just too good to pass up. All right, so we are down to my number 2, my last 2. And the next to the last one, the number 2 spot, is going to go to Dark Places and Demogorgons. You watch this channel for any amount of time, you know that I love Dark Places and Demogorgons. I love the role-playing kids in the 80s and all that stuff. This game is fantastic. I love it. Now, if you don't like playing kids in the 80s, then you're probably not going to dig this game. But if you do, this is definitely a game to check it out. I've done a bunch of videos on this stuff. In Lake Flynn has done a bunch of videos on these books. They are absolutely phenomenal. Just hands down, just great. Again, it was hard to not pick supplements to go with this because the Jeffersontown setting guide is one of the best setting guides I've ever read. The class compendium, you know, literally compiles all the classes across the different books and adds new ones in there. Those are both really useful, but I only had 6 spots. And at the end of the day, there's enough material in here, including info about Jeffersontown, that you could play with just this book. So Dark Places and Demogorgons comes in on my number 2 spot, or not the number 1 spot. Sorry, Eric, I love your game. It was a very hard sell. And had I not gotten into this other game recently, Dark Places and Demogorgons would have been my number 1 spot. I love it that much. This one I've been talking about a bit lately, and I've said in another video, you know, I have had viewers tell me for the last couple of years, Rob, you need to check out Index Card RPG. Trying to tell me how good it was. And part of the reason that I didn't, it's really 2 parts. One part is I've got a lot of games. I got a lot of game books, a lot of material I'm trying to go through to make videos on. And I've had people send stuff in, and I'm trying to get videos made on all that. And you keep in mind, this isn't like a full-time job. Like I'm a full-time dad, you know, homeschooler, and you know, husband, and just I'm also the chief cook around here. So there's just a lot of stuff for me to do. I can't just sit and make videos all day, but I'm always thinking about stuff that would make good videos. So that was one reason. It was also like, okay, well, I don't have a copy of it, so it kept getting pushed to the back, you know. The other reason is, and I hate to admit this, but I thought it was a stupid name. I was like, Index Card RPG. That just sounds dumb. Like, I don't know, in my mind, I was like, I'm playing a game on an index card? I don't want to do that. That's not actually what it means. It's a much deeper book than that. Hank Infernal over at Runehammer was nice enough to send me a PDF copy of it and some other stuff. He's phenomenal, really good guy to deal with. He sent me the PDF of it so I could start taking a look at the Master Edition. And I just got the Master Edition in, courtesy of Haley, my buddy. She picked it up for me, and it is great. This is, like, if I could only keep one book, this would be my book now. Because there's so much you can do with it. It kind of has that universal system to it because it's the mechanics are so light. Now, if you like crunchy mechanics, do not pick this game up because this is not for you. This is not the game for you. This is not designed for you. You will not enjoy this. But if you like more freeform, do-it-yourself, on-the-fly, role-playing, heavy type games, very customizable type games, this is it. And the Master Edition is, if you can get your hands on it, was actually published by Modifius. And if you can get it, which this one came off of Amazon, I don't know how often they restock, but it is fantastic. It has the whole game in here. It has 5 total settings in here. I'm going to do more videos taking, you know, a deeper look at the different stuff. But I mean, you can snag bioforms or races, whatever you want to call them, from the different settings and move them back and forth between. You could actually meld everything together and have a very Rifts type feel to it. But I mean, it's got a fantasy setting, a sci-fi setting, a haunted western setting, a superhero setting, and it has like a prehistoric blood in the snow setting, which is really cool. But you can also do your own setting with it too. And the thing that I love about this is it's not so much, I mean, it is a rule book and it is a game all in itself. But all of the different subsystems within this game are very easy to plug and play. So even if you didn't want to switch your game totally over to ICRPG, you could take aspects that you like and transport them over, which is what I've done. I've started doing that with the movement system, got transferred over to my gaming, my DCC, and my basic fantasy. I think I'm going to, the traps and treats and timers, that's going to be something that I incorporate. It has the best GM section, hands down, of any book, any RPG book, period. Nobody beats it. The way that Hankern and Furnell writes in here and thinks about game design and adventure design and encounter design and breaks everything down and shows you how a different way to think about it than we normally, most of us, think about it. It opened my mind, and I honestly feel like the advice that I've been getting from this is going to make me a much better game master than I have been. So yeah, I'm not going to go into everything now, but like hands down, this is phenomenal. I wish I had on one hand, I wish I had took advice a couple of years ago and got it, but on the other hand, I'm glad that I didn't get it till now, because I could get the Master Edition that has all the settings in it. It has the magic book in it, which you have magic without that. It's just the magic book added to this gives you a deeper, a little more complex system for doing magic, and it's all optional. But yeah, this is something that I am pulling stuff from for every game that I run. There is game theory and ideas for rules that are coming straight from this and being plugged into things I'm running, and it's being very well received. So 100%, this is my #1 book of my top 6. If I couldn't keep any other books, this is the first one going on the shelf that I get to keep. So that's my top 6. You other guys I mentioned, and I'm sure I forgot lots of people, but if you got a YouTube channel, do a YouTube channel of a video and, tell us what your top 6 are. If you don't have a channel, you just want to respond in the comments, you can drop them in the comments. Tell me what your top 6 books you would keep if you couldn't keep anything else. What 6 books are those? Like always, if you want to support the channel, we now have a Patreon. Link is in the description. Please join our Patreon, and you'll get, depending on the level, you'll get early access videos, exclusive content. It's all explained on there. You know how Patreon works at this point. Most of us do. So if you're so inclined, check that out. More importantly, though, if you want to respond to this video, I'd love to see some response videos and what you guys' top 6 books would be that you could keep. That's all I got for right now. Until next time, my friends, good gaming and good luck.